We imagine what awakening is and what it should be like. And actually, when this transformation unfolds through us, there's a lot of myths being blown, right? And there are a lot of illusions being removed, because what we imagined awakening was, or what it should look like and feel like and all of that, it's not that, you know, we're not experiencing that. So we imagine like we are not, the separation comes back in the sense that, okay, I'm not. And then more myths are blown and more illusions, and there's another deeper aha, you know, I thought it was this, but aha, it's like, it's not like that, it's like this. And those ahas can only happen through the walking, as we walk along, right? What if every single one of you, including myself, including this one, and all so-called enlightened beings, all, what if there has been something in your system that, whether conscious or unconscious, that the whole of the life has been a movement to avoid, to feel? What if there's something in your, in the brokenness of the human psyche? And I say the brokenness because the forming, the crystallization of the ego and the forming of the conditioning and all of that carries with it an accumulated brokenness of the failure of the human ongoingly through generations, right? And the brokenness of the human that could never realize itself, that could never realize God, and goes to the grave. I use the word God, I don't mean a guy out in the sky, you know that. So goes to the grave feeling like a failure. How many do you think arrive on the deathbed feeling like, I fucking wasted my life? Can't I just have another chance? Can't I just have another 10 years? Can't I just have another moment to do it again, please? Because I did it, I wasted. How many do you think have arrived on the deathbed that way? Right, and with the last gripping thoughts and the regrets and all of that passing over, and that ball of whatever you want to call it, picking up another incarnation, right? Another chance. So perhaps that thing is carried over through lifetimes, and perhaps in the very lifetime that each one of us has lived and is living, there's been something that whether it's conscious or unconscious, it can be unconscious, and it's been like avoided all of the life, you know. I don't want to feel like I'm a failure. I don't want to feel like I have to do something not to feel that. I have to, right. So a lot of that can be conscious, and especially if we've done some kind of work with ourselves, it comes conscious. What comes to light. Yeah. And then, of course, there's always still unconscious. That is still, the more light there is in the room, you know, the more bright the light is in the room, the more is being seen. Yeah. And what if, whatever it was, whether it's a feeling of unworthiness, brokenness, failure, powerlessness, whatever the feeling might be. Perhaps there's only one I have to use words, so I say part of you, okay? But it's not a part. Perhaps there's only one aspect in you, only one, but it's not an aspect. Perhaps there's only one place in you, and it's not a place, right? That can actually say yes to feeling, to fully feeling all the way, totally, what it is to be a complete and utter failure. That feeling in the body. That feeling of being completely useless. I'm using words, but that feeling in the body. Where the human comes down on its knees, yeah, in utter failure. Perhaps there is only one placeless place in you that can actually stand to be right there in it. And all the way, let this human aspect be fully felt. So totally that there is no movement to get away. There is no movement to talk oneself out of it. But there's an actual going there consciously. And perhaps this is a secret doorway. A secret that you've kept from yourself your whole life. Intelligence itself, it is the one creator of all things. It is the making and the shaping of all things, inherent in its very creativity. It is an expression of source. What if the intelligence of that informs the human? What if, like, the intelligence is letting the human know that, you know, as a person walking in a bag of conditions, this is not your destiny. It's not what you're here for. And so the feeling of something is missing, something's not quite right, something's not like this, I'm not enough. The feeling of unworthiness is really like at its root coming from the bridge of intelligence informing the human that, like, that's not enough. But then it gets picked up by the human self and taken on as a personal, me, I'm not good enough. Perhaps it's even like God's gift to itself, you know, to kind of call the exploration. What if the secret is right in the heart of that? Because that's so avoided, consciously or unconsciously, in a myriad of ways, it remains a secret. Because who knew that the day that you are actually being what you are and actually in a total meeting with that, not to get rid of it, not to evolve, not to fix, not to change, but just being with, that the secret is revealed. What if awakening begins with a recognition of that placeless place? that is spacious and aware and free, and is creation and beyond creation. What if awakening begins with the recognition of that to itself? It recognizes itself through your eyes and through your being, as your being, as what you really are. Like, oh, you know, there never was anything that I could call me that is other than this. This is all there is, and this is what I am. What if this is the first recognition of awakening? Yeah. And what if this is the beginning, the very, very beginning of fully tasting? Every single bit of life in all its aspects, totally. What if this by itself invites all of the unconscious to come into the light? So that it can finally be all the way, once and for all, felt. Because there is a commitment, that awakeness coming into the personal. There is no personal self but coming into the personal life. There is no personal life but coming into the human expression. There is like an inner deep commitment, a deep love affair, a deep honesty. Where you cannot turn away from yourself. You just cannot turn away from yourself. And following that is coming all that's been turned away from. And that's what I call the meeting. When I speak about, oh, you have to meet that, you know, it's not just like, okay, I'll just be present in it. No. It's a deep, deep meeting, the way you want to have a meeting in a love affair. You want to have a deep and true love affair. You want to have a deep and true intimacy. It's like that, you know. So coming with that is all the brokenness. And this is one of the myths of enlightenment, yeah. Because it was not spoken about, especially in the last generation, where mainly it was all pointing to the absolute. Those beings did a wonderful job to point to the absolute. That's all that humanity was ready for, really and truly. But it goes deeper, and it goes deeper, and it includes the feminine. Yeah. And the feminine is the embodiment and the all-inclusiveness. Which you can think, you can see an awakened being going through a hell realm with all so much brokenness coming and so much destruction and a fire of truth burning. You can see all of this, and people can look like, oh, is that supposed to be is that person supposed to be awake? No, 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 can't be. Not like that. That's not a deep understanding. Yeah. Because the deeper the understanding integrates, then the more of totally feeling every bit of humanness. With this inner agreement, this commitment to stay in the very way that you would have loved an other to stay for you. Where the child would have loved the parents to stay present. It's like a reparenting. Yeah. You are so totally here for you. And you're here to feel those feelings like you are teaching the child, the human self, that you're here and you're not turning away. Like that, the integration of a deeper realization that's not based on a surface experience. The surface experience can be anything and all of everything. It doesn't need to be harmonious, you know. Yeah. It can be all kinds of variation. But it's what's in the deep. And that is like remaking and reshaping the human levels. So in fact, you know, when all of this is coming through you and all of this is coming and calling for you to actually go there, another level. I mean, I've been walking with this 23 years, and that's nothing, you know. There's always more integration. It's always the beginning. It's always the beginning. There will be deeper levels of surrender. There will be deeper levels of integration. Yeah. But what needs to be got in the understanding is this: if you get this, then there's never the thought that I've fallen back or I lost. The thought doesn't come here. But even if it comes in you or through you, it's just seen to be thoughts. Yeah. Because of a deeper understanding, which only can come through the secret doorway. You must go in those places where you don't want to go. You must go and feel all the way. To know yourself as a divine being, all inclusively. Because when we actually go where we're afraid to go, something beautiful happens.